Hey everybody, this is Mom H with Honey Hollow Homestead. This is going to be a little bit different kind of a video. Afraid there's not too much I can do about the backlighting. It doesn't matter where I put my camera, unless I guess maybe if I pointed it up against the wall. But even then, there's light coming in. But oh well, it's just me anyway. You can hear the chicks in the background. They're in the brooder box. But that's not what I'm talking about today. I'm going to tell you my story. When I was a teenager, okay, even when I was a young child, I was a really, really good weight. Actually, when I was a teenager in high school, I was so skinny, I looked almost anorexic, okay? And I ate everything you can think of, and plenty of it, you know? I never put an ounce of weight on. I could eat pizza, tacos. I mean, I kid you not. I rarely, when we had tacos, easy a dozen, just down them. Pasta, you name it. I ate my fill, and I never put on an ounce. It started to change when I was 18. I started to see a little bit creeping up, but it wasn't real bad. But I noticed that my clothes from high school weren't fitting me quite as well. But like I said, and I didn't realize this, that I was virtually too skinny. But I ate, and I ate a lot. Okay. Um, and then, I got married, moved away from home, um, got pregnant, had my son, um, and my son was like just before his first birthday. We had a pretty serious car accident, and my back was broken, and thankfully, you know, they did everything right, and I never had any nerve damage. Um, but it kind of messed me up a little bit, and the weight started to go on. And, everything from that point on just kind of went downhill. And, I mean, I kept putting on the weight little by little, you know. Um, and, I did everything you're supposed to do, right? I followed the food pyramid, where the bottom, which you're supposed to eat most of, was a lot of bread, pasta, grains. I followed all that. And then of course your fruits and vegetables, and then your meat at the top. Even though I have always, always loved fatty meat. Okay, but they said fat was bad for you, and you need to, not have as much fat. Oh, but I tell you, there were times I just couldn't help myself. But I tried. I tried to not eat the fats, but of course, the fat that I was raised on was Crisco and margarine and mayonnaise, that kind of stuff. Um, and of course, I carried that on through um, as a married woman. That's what I used in my home. I used Crisco. I used Parquet. Um, that was the favorite margarine in my household. Growing up was Parquet, um, and so that was part of growing up. Um, but still, trying to be conscious of what I was putting in my body. you know, when I wasn't, there were times when I was craving stuff so bad. Um, I have seen myself eat 2 donuts, you know, especially when I worked in a bakery and we were allowed to eat donuts. You know, we were kind of restricted on you know healthy food, but we were allowed to have the donuts. And we were rather poor, okay, in my early married life, and so carbohydrates were really a main feature with the meals. Our meat was hot dogs, cheap hot dogs. Um, I could sometimes get a stewing hen that was pretty cheap. Um, you know, chicken was pretty cheap. Ground beef, you know, a little bit, not a lot. Um, things have definitely changed over the years. But, you know, and of course, because of the accident, I wasn't as active. Um, not right away anyway. But I did, when I was in the hospital in a back brace, I did lose weight because I lost my appetite. I wasn't hardly eating anything. And they had the surgeon had to keep coming in and adjusting my back brace because I was losing weight. Um, so he had to come in and adjust it tighter, at least twice. Um, but then after I got out of the hospital and I was able to eat something other than hospital food, which I was so tired of. I started, after a bit, after I had healed somewhat, um, I started to eat a little bit more, you know, and the weight started to come back on. And over time, I mean, here, I'm in my 60s, okay? And I've been large for a while. Um, when I was in college, um, I lost some weight, but then I put it back on. You know, I would get myself down to a certain point where I could fit into certain clothing that I had, and then the weight would come back on. You know, the yo-yo effect. Um, and it was not easy. The one thing is that after college, I got myself a really good job, and in the in what I had studied for, and you know everything was going really good, and I was doing well with my job, and then things started changing. Um, yeah, I was the heaviest one in the office. I had put the weight on. My and I started having some issues with sleep. Um, and I know what the problem was with sleep with that. It would cause that problem, and that's not the subject of this video. Um, but my job performance started to go downhill from lack of sleep. And also, then um, one particular higher up supervisor went on this health kick. And I don't know if it had anything to do with the insurance company that they used or not. I don't know, because then they started putting up posters in the common area of the office where the coffee machine was, the refrigerator was, and they would alternate these posters. There was one about drinking too much alcohol. There was one about smoking too much or smoking. You know, they showed you the dirty lungs and everything. We had a few smokers in the office. And then they had one that was about obesity. And This one really bothered me. Why? Because it featured the picture. It's kind of like a pencil drawing or watercolor painting, whatever. It's not like a photograph, not that clear, but still, this depiction of this individual. It was a woman in just her underwear, and she had the same hair color as I, the same complexion as I. She looked just like me. And here I had to go into this common area when they had that poster up, where everybody else in the office could see me in my underwear. I was so embarrassed by that picture, by that poster. I never said anything, never complained. I just didn't stick around in there very long. Before I was done with that job, my meal was, let me see here. I would get my coffee and I'd have sugar and creamer in it. And my lunch was an apple and a yogurt. Now, that did not last me the whole day. By mid-afternoon, maybe a little bit later, I was starting to get hungry, feeling a little bit depleted. So I figured, well, maybe I need some protein. Well, peanuts are protein, right? Okay, well, and you need sugar to get yourself going, so I got peanut M&Ms, and I would have a few of those. I didn't eat the whole bag. I just eat a few, okay, just to get me through. Needless to say, I did not lose any weight. Not at all. And things went downhill even more on my job. It was difficult between my sleep deprivation, my poor diet, and of course having to deal with that picture. At one point, they stopped rotating the posters, and they only had the one poster of me for right from the very beginning. I mean, right from when they stopped rotating until I left the job. Well, they let me go. And I don't blame them for letting me go, because really, honestly, my job performance stunk. It really did. Now, over a few more years, just before we moved down here to Kentucky, I started hearing about this keto diet. And I thought, well, that sounds interesting, you know. I looked into it and was hearing testimonials and stuff and about how good it is and how bad the carbohydrates are, and I figured, you know what, I think I can do that, and I'll give it a shot. Well, I went on the keto just before we moved down here, and I started feeling really good. I started feeling energetic. My sleep deprivation problem was pretty much resolved, and I started losing the weight, and I had the energy. I was feeling good, and then we made the big move down here, and I mean, that was quite a bit. There was a lot involved with that move, the preparation of the move. You know, I still, even in trying to get the move together, getting things thinned out in my house and everything, all the work that was involved, I still managed to stay on the keto, you know, and I was losing the weight. uh, not quickly, but quick enough, you know. And I was like, I had heard about how beneficial it was for people with other um, problems, physical problems, autoimmune and whatnot. Um, Now, I had already lost a younger sister. Uh, she, it was because of the reaction to a new RA medication. Um, that's what took her from us. If I had known about keto, or if we knew anything about keto before that, things might have been different with her. She wouldn't have had to suffer with RA. I'm a little bit chilly because temperature dropped last night, so I'm a little bit chilled up. Anyway, but I still had a sister that had MS. And I started trying to tell her that, maybe if you cut back on your carbs, it would help your MS. And she kind of tried doing that a little bit, not quite to the extent that I did, but a little bit. She still struggled, and she was heavy. She had always been heavier than me. But anyway, after the move down here, switching back and forth here, things got a little bit crazy for us. It took longer for them to get the cabin delivered because of the weather. So we were here longer, renting a place. And then, of course, my father passed away 3 weeks after moving down here. So that went crazy. At about that time, I pretty much had given up, or not given up, but gone off the keto, just because all the craziness that was going on at that time, from the death of my father to trying to get things done around here. It was just easier to just, incorporate the carbs back into our diet, just easier. Because all of my kitchen stuff was in boxes, it wasn't here, it was in storage, and it's like, it was just crazy. So let's fast forward to today. I had put some of the weight back on. I had lost. I don't have a scale, so I don't really know how much I was weighing. But I started having problems with joint pain. And it's like, I've got so much work to do around here. I just cannot afford to be down with joint pain. It's hard for me to move around, hard for me to get around and do what needed to be done around here. And what finally put me over the edge was I was having problems with my feet. It hurt to get up in the morning, to walk on my feet. I was walking very gingerly. My feet were so sore. And it's like, this is crazy. And I watched a few more keto-oriented carnivore diet kind of videos on YouTube, and they popped up on your suggested list, and and people were saying how their joint pain went away, and all this, that, and the other. And I think, you know what, I need to get back on keto. My son had moved out, so it's just my husband and I. And I figured that maybe I can actually, handle controlling the diet a little bit better. So I did. I went back on keto. And I mean, there's some things involved with the keto that were a little bit more difficult to deal with, to handle right now, because my kitchen is still not fully functional. Okay, we use paper plates, plasticware, aluminum foil pans, try to do things that I don't have to use a knife to chop things up and whatnot. Just trying to not dirty dishes, okay, or pots and pans, because it was just crazy trying to wash them, especially in the winter. It's easier in the summer because I can, do the water out here. But in the winter, it was just too much to try and get the water in enough to wash dishes and whatnot. So That's what it was like. But then I decided, with watching some more videos about carnivore and stuff like that, I figured, you know what? Maybe I'll swing a little heavier to the carnivore side, at least until I get my kitchen situated. Um, I don't have to have the vegetables. It'll make things easier for me, not having to worry about, preparing the vegetables. Um, and so that's what I did. Um, and I didn't really say too much about going back on it. I mean, I still have more weight to lose, but I can honestly tell you that I have lost weight. Um, I've got the notch on my belt down uh, to where I haven't had it for a long time. Um, and Also, my feet don't hurt anymore. My joints don't hurt anymore. Now, I'm still climbing up the hill. I'm still getting winded. You know, I think that's just a matter of me getting back in shape, climbing the hill, walking up the hills. We've got plenty of hills around here, so I'm sure that will come, you know, over time. But um, at least the pain is gone in my knee, in my joints, and I can get around. I can do more stuff. I'm getting stuff done. I'm losing the weight. I feel so much better. And, you know, what really hurts is that I did not learn about this type of eating in time to help my two sisters that passed away. The one with the RA and the one with the MS. Of course, my sister with the MS, she had an injury that was totally preventable um, by her employer. She had an injury at work that, like I said, was totally 100% preventable by her employer. And she could have sued and she could have been set for life, but she wouldn't do it. And I guess that's kudos to her. But she had a case and she could have done it. But because of that injury, they ended up putting metal in her leg. And at one point, her body started rejecting that metal. And it just, let's just say it was a horrible, horrible end of her life that didn't have to be. And if she had known, if we had known back then, when she was first diagnosed with MS, about the keto/carnivore way of eating, I strongly believe that either she would have pretty much eliminated the MS, or it would have been so minor that she would not have had that accident on the job, that she would have been in a much better physical position to save herself. But that's hindsight. I can't help my sisters. Thankfully, I know where they are, and I will see them again. But if you are suffering physical ailments and you eat the standard American diet, the food pyramid that has a lot of grains and breads and cereals, your pastas, your rice, your potatoes, your high carbohydrates. Okay, and you're doing it because that's what you're told to do. And you're also using seed oils, canola oil, soybean oil, safflower oil. Um, if you knew how they manufacture those oils, um, you would not be putting them in your body for sure. Um, but all those seed oils, they're toxic. They're toxic. Margarine, Crisco, vegetable shortening, all that stuff um, is really, really, really bad for you. Um, now, I had pretty much eliminated the seed oils early on. I had eliminated the margarine. It was a gradual process over the years. I went from margarine to butter, and then I gradually eliminated the vegetable oils, um, even though they were cheaper. And because I don't have a gallbladder, I was advised that coconut oil would be a easier oil or fat for me to digest by a doctor. And so started using the coconut oil, and then I discovered the avocado oil, and so now I use my fats consist of butter, avocado oil, coconut oil, olive oil, bacon grease, and I have had lard, but I don't have a lot of it because I'm not sure about the grocery store lard. Um, I guess it can't be any worse than the um, Walmart butter that I buy, but I don't know. I just wasn't sure about storage and stuff like that, so I'll probably get lard. But anyway, and I have the fat on the meat. I try to get the fattier cuts of meat and not get the lean meat, um, which is a little tricky because my husband refuses to eat fat. He refuses to eat fatty cuts of meat. He wants them lean. Um, and if you saw him and compared to me, he looks old. He does. And but he won't do the fat. Um, but I tell you, the fat is what I craved. The fat is what I craved for years, and now I have permission to eat it. So that's what I'm doing. And it's working for me. Whereas the low fat, high carb diet just put the weight on me. And I had no idea, you know. Um, I know I craved the fat when I was on the low fat. I just craved it. And it was so hard to stay on it. And it didn't help. But now, you know, if I can stay away from the sweets, yeah, I have a sweet tooth, but it's getting easier for me. I just don't have it in the house. I take that back. I have certain ones for my husband, but he's not a heavy sweet eater. But he wants one on occasion. So he has it. I don't have it. Um, and I've seen a couple of keto recipes that I can prepare if I feel like I really want something a little bit different, But it's not really a big deal for me right now. But, it's just, I wanted to put this out there in case there are people like me who may not be aware of the benefits of the keto / carnivore type diets. Most people start out with keto, and some people, that's fine, and they're fine with staying that way. Some people, they need to go a little bit more towards carnivore. And I thought, oh, you have to have your fruits and vegetables, And no, not necessarily. I will probably, during the summer, I like salads, so I'll probably have some. But anyway, this has already been a half hour, so I'm going to cut it short here. I may be talking more about this down the road, but I just want to put it out there for encouragement for other people that are having some health issues that maybe you might want to consider changing your diet. And I think you'll be surprised at the benefits. So this is Mom H with Holly Hollow Homestead. You can like it, my video, and subscribe and share, especially if you know someone who might benefit from it. So talk to y'all later. Have a good one.